Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. We had this gentleman call us. He's a very nice guy, a local guy, who has this Williams Full House electromechanical pinball machine that he's had, and everything on it works good, he says. We haven't tried it yet. Everything on it works good except for the left flipper. So the right flipper works fine, left flipper does not. And he said it plays, everything does its thing, but when you hit the left flipper button, the left flipper does not fire. So he wanted to know if we could fix that, and we told him we could. And so he brought it over to us. He didn't bring the legs, and this is one of the ones that has that little part that sweeps down in the front. So what we did was we had like an old metal power supply that we slid under there to hold the back of it up, which put it at about where it would be with the legs on it. But so we've kind of got it rigged up, but we're going to repair it. And I thought, hey, let's film a video of us repairing it. So we'll check out what we can figure out, and then we'll play it a little bit to see if everything works. Now, we've had this game before, not this exact one, but we had the same title before, and this was an interesting time period for Williams. But on this particular one, this back glass is in perfect shape, and it makes me think it might even be like a reproduction. I believe I've seen some new old stock ones floating around on eBay and things, so it may be that it hasn't been in this machine long. I don't know, but the thing really looks good. I can't even find any flaws on it. Full house. Ball's in play, and you can see where it's going to light up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the wanted poster. Look at the cowgirl here. She's watching everybody play poker. They're all excited to see her come in the door. So, see, she's walking in. And all the guys are playing poker, and they're like, hey, Sally Mae, come on over. Pull up a chair. We'll play poker. And then you got the little, I guess she's the waitress. What would they call them back then? Barmaids. She's the barmaid. You got this guy. Hey, Sally Mae, how you been? Oh, it's Sally Mae. Hey. I can't make a different character for each one. I'll get them confused and won't be able to remember who's who. Look how well that's done. I mean, it's just, pinball artists were fantastic back in the day. Okay, so yeah, look, dealer's hand. There's something about you at the end of the ball. Let's read it. Let's read the instructions, shall we? Beating the dealer's hand scores 1 replay. In the case of a tie hand, the dealer wins. Making a full house lights the bottom rollover lanes to score 1 replay. Matching the last number in the point scores to light a number that appears on back glass when game is over scores 1 replay. The dealer's hand appears each time ball leaves the playfield. 3 of a kind consists of 3 tens, 3 jacks, 3 queens, 3 kings, 3 aces, or any 2 of a kind plus the wild card. Okay, yep, that makes sense. A full house consists of any 3 of a kind plus the 2 nines and beats any 3 of a kind. Okay, so full house you have to have 2 nines. Cards in order of importance: ace, king, queen, jack, 10. Center bumper lights with a pair of 9s. Okay, so what are they talking about here? Okay, so at the top it says these. Okay, if you go through the left, the center, or the right, it advances the cards, and you get 10 points. So in the middle of the playfield, you have these 3 roulette wheel, or these 3 score reels with cards on them. So you advance the left card, or get 100 when lit. That advances the right card, or gives 100 when lit. These give 10 points. This one I believe is 100 when lit. This is you light your 9, I guess. And that is you light your 9, I guess. You got a couple rollovers here. Who knows what they do. And then you say 100 points and special when lit. So it said, making a full house lights the bottom rollover lanes to score 1 replay. So I guess if you get all 3 of these lined up on the same card, and you've got both of your 9s lit, the special will turn on, and if the ball goes out the out lane, you get a replay. That's pretty cool. So it says the dealer's hand appears each time the ball leaves the playfield. So as I remember, yeah, these will light up here. So the dealer will either have 3 aces, 3 kings, 3 queens, 3 jacks, 3 tens, or 2 9s, or they could have a full house, I guess. I don't know. Beating the dealer's hand scores 1 replay. In case of a tie hand, dealer wins. Wow, that's pretty cool. I had forgotten all about this. We had it 3 or 4 years ago. The one that we had, the paint, so this is more like the original paint. Somebody's painted over it, right? Well, the one that we had, the paint had all been stripped off of it, and they had stained the sides of it. As a matter of fact, let me show you a couple pictures of what that looked like, because we do have the pictures of it. So this is what ours looked like. That was ours. So back to theirs. They have these really cool coin doors. I like that look. Okay, so I guess the first thing we'll do is we'll pop up the playfield and we'll look specifically at that left flipper. One other thing I'm noticing, see this burn on the playfield? Basically that's because the flipper drags and it's scraping the playfield. So we may see if we can fix that too. Maybe put a new bushing in it. That's almost always the bushing. Oh, I didn't show the playfield art. Got the 2 girls on the plastics. Those look like they've probably faded. Up here you got a couple guys on the plastics. But they're just green and yellows, so I'll bet the red has faded away out of them. Back here in the back, got some people around the pop bumper. It's just the artwork on this. Holy moly. It's a stagecoach on the center plastic. And you got the 3 cacti around the lights there. You got the girl here and the guy there. They're sitting down on the ground for some reason. And then inexplicably you have a rabbit. It's a great look though. Okay, so I'll take the glass off, we'll pop it up, and let's look at that flipper. Alright, so we're going to check it out a little bit. Now, the way these things work, this is one of the flipper switches. When you press the button, it pushes these 2 metal blades together. And they touch each other. Alright. So this one has 2 on it. I think one of them probably just turns on the lights if the machine's been off a while. Now, a lot of AC runs through those, not a lot, but AC runs through those contacts, so they get all burnt up. So see how that's white? That's from all the arcing. So basically, when the contacts get near each other, the electricity goes ahead and jumps across it, and it sparks. And when it does that, it burns it a little bit, and you end up with it all burnt up like that. So you have that problem on the ones that AC or enough voltage goes through. So here are the two flippers. Now the way these work, let me get over to that side and I'll show you the deal, and then we can figure out what's wrong with it. The way these work, see how there are 3 connections on the flippers? Okay, on most coils, like this pop bumper, there are 2 connections. So one of the wires, see the little orange wire? It's connected to this lug that this wire is soldered to. So this wire, this orange wire, runs around this bobbin here 550 times, and it's a 22 gauge wire. So 550 times that wire runs around there, and then it comes out the other side and it connects to this bobbin, this lug, and this wire connects to this. So whenever, the way this works is, when electricity comes through this, it makes this into an electromagnet, which pulls the metal slug in that runs inside of the coil violently. So it makes this magnetic by running power through it. Bam! Right? And on the other side of the playfield, you get that action that you want. So the flippers work the same way. When you send power through them, it turns this into an electromagnet. Bam! It pulls that down violently. Bam! And it makes the flipper flip. Okay, so why do the flipper ones have 3 lugs? It's because they're special coils that have 2 sets of wires running through them. So there's one set of wires that runs around however many times, and then it connects to this middle lug that's not on this one, and then that wire runs from that all the way around and connects to this outside lug. So why do they do that on the flippers? They do it because they have what's called an end of stroke switch. So look at these switches here. See how they're all bent? Okay, when this pulls in, you're going to see that it makes the one switch connect. See how it made that switch connect? Okay, now when it keeps going, it's going to make this other switch open up. So one connected, the other one opened. The one that opens is called the end of stroke switch. So when I hit that button, this is closed, and the power is running through this switch over to this middle coil, the middle lug on the coil. But whenever the flipper goes all the way up, it opens that, which kills the power to that. So one of the 2 wirings turns off. So when you hit it, both of the wirings fire, bam, to make that pull in. But once it gets all the way open, one of the windings opens back up because the switch opens. Okay, so why do they do that? It's because if you hold the button, so if I just held the flipper and it popped up, right? The flipper popped up, and then I kept holding the button. Well, you're making a dead short. You're running a whole bunch of voltage through that flipper, and you will literally burn the coil up. So none of the other coils have that problem. Like a pop bumper, the little skirt, while the ball's on the skirt, it pushes this switch together, which makes the pop bumper go down, right? And when the pop bumper goes down, it kills its own power, which makes it go back up. Well, if the ball was still on the skirt, it would do it again, right? But because of the way it's all designed and set up, the ring knocks the ball out of the way, knocks it off the skirt. So in other words, that can't stay stuck on. There's no way for it to stay stuck on unless something happens where something gets jammed on it or something. But on a flipper, how can the flipper coil get stuck on? Well, it's real easy. If you hold that damn button down, it's going to be stuck on. And if you played pinball, which you have, or surely you wouldn't be watching this video, when you hold the button, it holds the flipper bat up, right? Well, because that's a desirable feature of the game, they have designed it so that I got dirt all over me already. It's a desirable feature of the game. They've designed it so that there are two coils that wham make it violently flap up, and then one of the coils disconnects itself, and one of them stays on, and that's how you can hold the flipper up. And so because it's just got that one coil, it's wound in such a way that it won't burn the coil up. So I could stand there and hold that button all day and it won't burn the coil up if the end of stroke switch is working right. Now, if you have that switch adjusted so that it never opens, what'll happen? The second winding will never turn off, and you'll burn your coil up. So it's kind of important. Okay, so the reason we did all of that was to show you this. Look at the end of stroke switch, which is this one. Okay. If I can get it to line up just right, maybe you can see it. Yeah, can you see that? So what's our problem? The end of stroke switch is not connected. Now why is it not connected? It's because the contact has fallen out of the blade on the switch. So we need a new switch. So basically when you hit the button, you're not running power through both coils. I mean through both, I guess you can call it coils, but I don't want to confuse. Through both windings, that's a better word. You're not running power through both windings because the end of stroke switch isn't connected. Now if I bend it over to where the blade is actually touching the blade, it would work. But you know, it should be that a contact is touching a contact. So you've only got the weak winding working, which is enough to hold the flipper up, but it's not enough to make the flipper pull in. So you see what I'm saying? So one of the windings is working and one isn't because the end of stroke switch isn't right. So to fix the entire thing, we need to replace that blade right there. Now I don't have a new one, I don't think, so I'm gonna have to go find some parts, and that will probably get it flipping again. So we will do that, but you know, we're charging the guy a minimum just because we have a minimum that we charge on anything. So we'll do a little other stuff too that won't cost him any extra money, and we'll test it out and play it a little bit and see how everybody likes it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'll take this switch apart and I'll replace that outside switch there. Now this is the bushing which the shaft of the flipper goes through. So this one over here, it appears is dragging, so I'm going to very carefully look at that on the top and see if it's still dragging or if they've fixed it yet. If they haven't fixed it, we'll see if we can put a new bushing in it to make it where it won't drag. And that was something that I noticed. And then maybe we'll do a couple other minor little things if I find anything wrong, but we'll get that flipper working and then we'll test that. New rivet soldered on. All better, but you have to check to make sure that it opens when the plunger's all the way in. And it does. And you also see how when it goes back it touches it and moves the other blade slightly? It has to move that other blade or they're not really touching, are they? All right, so we have started the game and left flipper working great. Oh, you can also hold it. So watch. By the way, the spark is normal. And the right one, not quite as good. They shouldn't buzz as much like that, but also worth noting, see the wear on the Playfield there that I was talking about? Okay, watch when I go all the way up. So that was from a previous problem. Somebody has already repaired that, so that's not anything we have to worry about. Okay, so I started it up. I played it through a couple balls, and I figured out 2 or 3 things that it's doing. Okay, so first, whenever the ball ends, a lot of times it'll just sit there and the score motor will continuously turn, and you hear a click, 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 and the clicking is the out hole relay coming on, but it doesn't kick the ball out. Well, if you sit there long enough, eventually when it clicks, it makes a click up here, which is the ball release coil, and it shoots the ball out. So that's a little something. The ball and play lights, at least some of them are out. I'm looking right now and the one is on, so maybe it's just some of them. And then the there's no bells. The bells are all quiet. You can't have a pinball with no bells. So I looked at the bells, and there's 2 in this cabinet, but this one actually was supposed to be a knocker. So when you add a credit to the game, it makes this little one ring instead of a knocker. So a knocker usually is something that slaps the side of the cabinet or a little metal bar or something to make a cracking noise. Well, somebody's replaced it with a bell, which is fine. So when you add a credit on this one, you get a small bell. The way the game is wired up, with 1 point you don't get any bell. With a 10-point score you get a bell, and with a 100-point score you get a bell. And it's all this same big large bell in the back. So whether you score 10 points or 100 points. So here I'll score 10 points, and watch the coil below the bell whenever it pushes the knocker up. Okay, you see what happened there? The knocker is stuck up, the plunger. So if I hit it again, we don't get any bell. It's because this plunger is stuck. So if you knock it back down, it does it again, right? So that's just a physical thing. The thing is literally actually getting stuck hitting the bell. So we'll have to take that out, maybe replace the sleeve in it or something. We'll look at it. We gotta get that where it moves better. But that's not a big deal because it just simply unplugs right there. No big deal. And the thing where the ball just runs and runs and runs after it falls into the out hole, we'll have to look at that, but that won't be that big of a deal. And then the ball and play light, the first one's working, so I'll just step through the 5 balls and see which light doesn't work, and then we'll check out maybe we'll replace the light bulbs or something. But the first thing I'll do is I'll pull that bell out, and we'll look at it real quick. Here's my setup from the back of the machine. So this one, basically when the coil pulls in, just like the flippers, it pulls this metal rod in, which goes up and it hits the bell. If I can get it to do it with one hand. So that little plunger hits the bell, and then the plunger falls back down to the bottom. So it's working good on this, which they're calling the knocker. But on this one, you saw where it was getting stuck up, right? So there's only 2 ways that can happen. So one of the ways that can happen is if it's some kind of physical thing. So there may be something that's physically making it do that, which could be dirt on it or something. And the other way is it's possible sometimes that the metal in this gets magnetized from being inside this electromagnet for so long, that this metal actually gets magnetized. Now, I don't know. I don't believe this one is. But there's a way you can make it unmagnetized. This sounds crazy, but I was told about this a long time ago, and it worked. If you think the plunger or sometimes the coil stop is magnetized, the way you can demagnetize it is beat the hell out of it with a hammer. No, I am not kidding. If you hit this thing with a hammer, it will demagnetize it. I know that sounds crazy. I'm not claiming to be an expert on it. I'm just telling you, I've done it before. It works. So I'm going to do 2 things with this plunger. I'm going to do 3 things. I'm going to replace this nylon sleeve that it slides through with a new one. I'm going to clean this off really good. and then I'm going to beat the hell out of the end of it with a hammer. And after I do that, we're going to see if it works fine. Hopefully one of the three will fix it. This game had the schematics down at the bottom, which is very helpful. Full house. Date. The 21st of September, 1965. Okay, so the only major mechanical thing that was a problem, or electromechanical thing that was a problem, was the sometimes whenever the ball ends, it just sits there in the hole while the score motor keeps turning, and it doesn't kick the ball out, and it just keeps going and going and going. But eventually it does. So this is the ball release coil, so that's our problem. Okay, so what makes it happen is on the motor, cam C, switch 4A, the cam C, no, I don't know what the C stands for, but 4A, it says pulses ball release coil. So this switch here is in the line that makes it go, and then the ball release coil is also triggered through this ball count step unit. Okay, through the out hole relay. Okay, so if you don't know how these work, the transformer's up here. There is a ground coming off of it, basically we'll call it. I think in AC it's not really called a ground, but the neutral. And then the power line is over here. So if you connect the coil to this one and this one, bam, it pulls in. So we're trying to connect the ball release coil to this one and this one, bam, so it'll pull in. So the way that's done is the line coming off one side of the ball release coil, one side of it's tied straight to the hot. The other side has to come over here to get to the neutral. So all of these little switches have to be connected to make it pull in. So the way it works is, this is the control motor. That motor turns around at various times during the game, and especially whenever the ball is in the out hole. So when the ball is in the out hole, you can hear that score motor turning. So we know this is turning, but we don't know if this switch is connecting as it turns around. That switch should be connecting together, but we don't know if it is. So we need to check that switch. And then these lines here, see, it comes through, if it's set on 5-ball, which it is, it connects through this jack on the 3-ball and 5-ball selector. So we need to check that to make sure that's plugged in good, but that's probably not it. And then it comes through this ball count step unit, right? So if it was doing it every time on the 3rd ball, like on the 3rd ball it always would do it, well then you might want to think about going and looking at this 3rd position on the ball count step unit, because it connects through that. Maybe one of those connections is dirty, like my hands. But it doesn't seem to me, at least, to be on certain balls. But it could be that that step unit just needs to be cleaned. And then the out hole relay. Remember I said that the out hole relay was pulling in like it's supposed to. So we know this is pulling in, but do we know that this switch is connecting well? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this switch, and I'm going to clean this switch, and that's going to fix it, I think. Now, it could be that this thing's dirty too and needs worked on, but we're going to try those 2 switches first and see if that gets it doing its thing, and then we'll play it a little bit. The way the back box is designed on this thing is really cool. It has a nice little door on it, and then on the side here there's this little lever get up here with a spring on it, where you can it's kind of how Gottlieb did their System 1 stuff. So if you do that, the door will open, little frame. There's that back glass. Look at that thing. Now look over here. It has There, see that? A little teeny bit of damage. So what's that tell you? That's the original back glass. This thing's in this kind of shape after all this time. That's crazy. Look how there's just a little bit of paint that's came off there too. So that is an original back glass in nearly perfect shape. Do not see that very often. Okay, so I figured out why the lights aren't lighting up. It's because some of them have popped out of their socket. I mean, if it's not even in the socket, that will do it. But if you need to change those, what you can do is use a shooter tip to get in the hole. Pull the old bulb out like that. And then, if I can manipulate it with my camera in my hand, put the new bulb like that. They made a little tool that they gave away with the machines just for this whenever they came out, but I don't have the tool. So I'll replace those bulbs. It looks like, look. I don't know how that happened. They must have just not had them all the way in there. They push in and turn and they lock in place. Sometimes if they're dim like this, if you turn them, they'll get nice and bright. So it looks like most of this stuff's fine. So I'll put these bulbs in it, and then as promised, we'll play it. Okay, we're going to play it a little bit. Now remember, this thing is on, it's balanced precariously on this cart. It doesn't really have its legs, so it's not, it's a little wobbly, which means I can shake it a little more than usual. But earlier I tilted it, and I think it ends your whole game. So you can't get too crazy with it. So we're just testing it. We'll see if it plays. You know, let me see here. There's a little bit of an issue where these three cards in the middle, they're not really lit up. I don't know if there's a bulb out. It doesn't look like it. So they're not lit up that good, so you might not be able to see it in the video. So I'll tell you what the, if you can't tell what these three cards are, I'll see if I can call it out for you. So like right now they're King, Wild, and Ace. And you can't see what the dealer's hand is. So. But playing it, I can see it a little better. Well. Oh, it was resetting the ball and play thing. The ball and play light, it was taking a while. The ball and play light was slowly moving backwards. It went from 5 to 4 and then 4 to 3, and you get the gist. And then you heard the click, 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 click. That was all of the score relays resetting, and now we're playing. So we're King, Wild, and Ace in the middle there. So the whole thing is, if I can get that to be like 3 kings and then drain the ball, if the dealer gets less than 3 kings, I win a free game. So our bell is working good. Whoop. Flipper was, I haven't got a good flip yet on our flipper. There we go. Flipper's clearly working good. And these are the little 2-inch stunners, and it's still, you know, come on. The slingshots, okay, so I don't have anything. I had an ace, a queen, and an ace, and the dealer's hand was he had 3 kings. So I lost that hand, and it says ball and play number 2. So the slingshots only give you 1 point, and the 1 point doesn't make a bell. The bell's 10 and 100. Let's say I got ace, king, and ace. So if I can make the middle one an ace, if I can roll the middle one over, that's a pretty good hand. Here we go. Oh, I missed. There we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna let it drain. Oh, you got to be kidding me. They cheated. Unbelievable. We're going to have to look at the schematics. Unbelievable. It's rigged. Okay. All right. So when the damn ball drained, he had 3 10s. I had 3 aces, an ace, a wild, and an ace, right? The ball drained, the 3 10s came on, and then guess what happened? The 2 9s came on to make it a full house, which beats my 3 aces. Come on. They stole my free credit. But that's okay. I'm on to their little game now. So see, it's going to turn one of them by rolling through the top rollovers. So now I'm off, you know? So I could maybe hit the left one. Oh. So now I've lost my wild in the middle. But I do have, I do have 2 aces. If I could get the, nope, now I'm off again. So I've got Jack, Ace, 10, and a 9. And the dealer had 3 queens. So I've got Jack, Jack, 10. Nothing. Jack, Jack, 10. But, and the dealer had 3 kings. I'm on ball 5. If I can roll through the right one at the top, that'll give me 3 jacks. But I mean, that ain't really. That's nothing special. Okay, so yeah, now I have 3 jacks. So if I can get the 2 9s on the outside, that'll give me a full house. Nope. I just don't want to hit those middle 3. Oh. No, I kept it. It's at, oh, wait a minute. Oh, it says advanced center card or 100 when lit. Okay, so that's interesting. So it was going to hold it on the 3 jacks for me. I wonder if it does that every time you, wow, what a hell of a programming thing. So it says advanced left card, advanced center card, advanced right card, and then it says or 100 when lit. So it's holding it for me. So I had Jack, 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 and I was trying to be real careful and not hit it. But when I did hit one, it just gave me 100 points. It didn't advance it. So it held my 3 cards like you were really playing poker. Man, that's wow. We got to get into this a little more. Okay, so the ball in play is resetting. Hey, we got down to 1, and then the score reels reset. So basically, the ball in play is a little slow to reset. That's why it's taking a little longer. But that's okay. You know what can fix that? If you keep playing it, it'll get better and better. Okay, did you see that? So I had my 3 jacks, and it was holding it. I wonder if it holds. I wonder if it holds 10s. So I got Jack, Wild, Queen. Oh, you know what? I'll bet it doesn't hold the Wild. It'll just hold if you got 3 of a kind. But even though the Wild is 3 of a kind. Jack, Wild, King. All right, we got to change that. Whoa. Okay, so now I've got Jack, Wild, Jack. So now if I hit it, yeah. So now what I need to do, okay. The dealer got a pair of 9s and 3 aces, so he would have killed me on anything. Okay, so once you get those 3, I guess what you need to do is try like hell to get those 9s, because if you get a full house, you're possibly at least got a pretty good shot of beating the dealer. But not that time, because the dealer had 3 aces and 2 9s. And then when you go through the top, it knocks it off whatever you were on, so you can't hold over from ball to ball. because the top three always. Okay, so I've got queen, wild, jack. Now I've got king, wild, jack. Now I've got king, queen, jack. Nothing. Nothing, people, nothing. Ball 4. The dealer had 3 jacks. King, queen, queen. King, queen, queen. So if I can hit the left and the right one and the middle one. Oh, wait a minute. All right, I had jack, queen, queen, and the dealer had 3 kings. So if I can land in the left, so when I go through the 3 top rollovers, one of them is going to make one of them advance. So if I can land in the left, the advanced left, it'll give me queen, queen, queen. Nope, not enough. Not too much. Jack, 10, queen. Jack, jack, queen. End of game. It's pretty cool. I like it. I like it. It's fun. I couldn't remember our last one. All right, so the ball in play is resetting, and then the score reel's resetting. The ball's kicking out. Cool. And if you've noticed, when the ball lands, it's immediately kicking it out. So we fixed that problem. We fixed the bell problem, and I fixed the ball and play light problem, and we fixed the flipper problem. Matter of fact, it's too strong. Did you see what it just did to me there? All right, so I've got 10, jack, king. 10, wild, king. So the only one that gets a wild card is the middle reel. Dealer had 3 kings. If I can... 10, wild, ace. 10, wild, 10, and it held it. Okay, so I had 3 10s, and the dealer had 3 kings. Jack, wild, 10. If I can just hit that right one. Missed it. Missed it again. Oh no, I got it. The top ones are advancing them too. So I have 3 jacks. I need to get my 9s. There's 1 9. Oh man! Oh, they did it again. I got 3 jacks, and it threw up 2 9s, and then it threw up 3 10s. Jack, wild, queen, and the dealer's hand was 3 kings. What a fun game. All right, let's look at the schematic. Let's see if we can figure out how it cheats, or if it cheats. So I have no idea how it works. We're going to figure it out together, right? So how would you figure out how this works? Well, whatever it does, it makes a light pop up on the back. Dealer's hand, 3 kings. So what does that? So we're going to look in the light section. Look, dealer's hand lights are all done by the match unit. Wow. Okay, so there is a 10, a jack, a queen, a king, an ace, a king, an ace, a queen, and a king. Okay, where are the 9s? Look, you see what they're doing? There's no 9s on there. So it turns on that 9 some other way. So how does it turn on the 9? 9 of clubs, light. 9 of diamonds, light. No, okay, those are the ones on the playfield, so that's not them. Game over light, game tilt light. Special light, pop bumpers. 100 when lit light. Center jet bumper. Interesting. Okay, so there is no 9. There is no dealer 9 light. Now why is that? It's because they're going to have it over on this side so they can screw you over. Let's see here. I'm going to find it. We're looking for a light bulb. Oh, what do I see here? Dealer's 9 light. And there's a resistor on this type, and then there's a 3 of a kind relay on this side that turns on the light. Okay, yep, look at this crap. So the 10 to 90 drum unit, and then it runs into these dealer's hand adjustment switches. So you can have a liberal switch or a conservative switch. So the liberal switch means that you win more often. The conservative switch means that it's harder to win. So if it's set on, you win more often. Okay, so see this? If it's set on, you win more often. It is connecting the 10 to 90 drum unit, which is just it's going to be the 10 to 90 point unit. It's not the match unit. So if your second number is on 0, it connects to here. You've got it set on liberal. It's easier to win. Connects up to here. Blah, 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 blah. And that's how it does all of its stuff. So this 9 light here is if it's set more conservatively where it's harder to win. So if it did that on 0, it would hit a 9. On which one's which? And on 6 it would hit a 9. There must be some other way. Oh, look, all these connect to it too. Okay, so on 0 it would hit a 9. On 1, on 2. So on 0 it would hit a 9. On 1 it would hit a 9. On 2 it would hit a 9. On 4 it would hit a 9. On 6 it would hit a 9. I mean on 5, on 6, on 7, and 8, and 9. So the only time that you could win would be on 3 or 9. So if your second number is 3 or 9, the 9 can't come on. If it's set down here. Now if you're set up here, the 9 will come on if you get 3 of a kind. So see, if what they're doing is if the 3 of a kind relay pulls in, it turns this light on. I'm sure the 3 of a kind relay is turning something else on too, but we're just going by the light because the light's always going to be on whenever it's set up like this. So when you get 3 of a kind, then the dealer's 9 light will come on if it's set on liberal. So it would take this one away and this one away. So you can win when it's on 0 or 3 or 6 or 9. So when it's set on liberal on 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8, the dealer always gets a full house, which you can beat, but you've got to have a better 3 and the 2 9s. If it's set on conservative, on 0, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the dealer's always going to have a full house. What the hell, man? That's crazy. But I guess they can't give away games. So yeah, anytime that you get 3 of a kind, this 3 of a kind relay pulls in, and if you're not on just a couple numbers, the dealer's always going to get a full house. So you're going to have a strong full house to beat the dealer's full house. Now to get the let's see if it's actually okay. So the dealer's hand. So these are the, look, 10, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace. So the dealer has an Ace on 2 positions of the match unit. He has a King on 2 positions of the match unit. He has a Queen, 3 Queens on 2 positions of the match unit. And then on 1 position of the match unit, he has 3 jacks, and on 1 position of the match unit, he has 3 10s. So you see my point? It's stacked for the dealer. Most of the time, the dealer is going to have queens, kings, or aces, and a full house. Every once in a while, the dealer is going to have a 10 and a jack. So it all kind of has to line up. So they're not really cheating. They're just basically, unless you get 3 of a kind, the dealer will never have a full house. And then only every once in a while. So pretty much every time you get 3 of a kind, almost every time, the dealer's going to have a full house. And then most of the time, the dealer's going to have aces, kings, and queens. So it looks like the dealer can be beat, but it's stacked against you, people. You might say it's a full house, right? Or a stacked house. All right, so there you go. I think we got it working pretty good. So we'll call the customer and tell them to come pick it up and enjoy it. Oh, and if you've been wondering, this little thing down here, that was the thing that they tried for a while, where you could actually put like a little message down there. So you could have a little thing that said like Bob's Smoking Cigar Pool Hall or whatever. I've never seen one with like any name down there though, but that's what they were for. All right, so there you go. So leave your comments below. Hope you enjoyed playing it or watching us play it. If you find one somewhere, play it yourself. And make sure to give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. I hope if you've got an old pinball machine, it helps you fix it and keep it running. Boy, that back glass is really nice. Look, you can barely see that little area we found that was messed up. Right there in the corner. I hope it helps you fix your machine. Keep them all running out there. They just need a little bit of love, and usually they try to cooperate like this one is. As a matter of fact, this one's trying to cheat. So leave your comments below, give us a thumbs up, and if you find one of these, play it. It's pretty fun, even if it is cheating. So we'll see you on the next video.